Hey, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to another episode of Thoughts Explored, aka As We Fall Asleep. We're here, I think it's September 16th,
I believe it is the 16th.
in the midst of California and Oregon and Washington State on fire.
It's been a particularly virulent smoke season, on top of course, our continued pandemic situation.
That's a little bit of the backdrop for you. And then I have to apologize in advance because you may hear some barking dogs. Those are not our dogs. We just have one. But just in case you hear that in the background, I'm going to try to...
It's the next door neighbor.
I'm going to try to get that out. So we started recording and then we had to stop because the dog needed something. So
this is part 2.
Yeah, so Lex was nice enough to let the dog go out and do what she needed to do. Today, I wanted us to talk about a couple of concepts and how they weave in together and help us to really manifest what we want in our lives. So the first is the law of assumption, or in other words, kind of preparing the table for what you want to happen. And so another way to think about it is taking inspired actions is that assumption, because you are actively putting things into motion that's going to get you from point A to point B. And then what was the other one?
Well, imagination too, the power of imagination. And I think that your idea when we talked earlier today was, about the two of them working together, the power of imagination and the assumption. I think of it perhaps a little bit differently than what you just said.
Say it.
Like the assumption in that manifestation of assuming, in that good way of like assuming that it is already done, assuming that you are already in a place of well-being or of good health, the assumption that all will be provided, the assumption that it is already happened somewhere. It's just a matter of bringing it forth to your immediate,
Yeah, that's perfect. You said
purview.
Exactly. That's exactly perfect. So, you have, I think we all have done this in our lives, but we don't really put it in those terms, right? So, I kind of use the example of right now, we're looking for 2 kittens. So, we're taking some pretty inspired steps to get them.
Yes, we know that they're there. They just haven't come to show themselves quite yet.
Yes, so Lex has been very good about looking on, because now we have to do everything online first. So we're like shopping for cats. So we're also readying the home for these bundles of joy to come. So we have things already, and then we're getting other things. And the assumption, and so kind of what I want to talk about is that if you're not operating like this, it makes things very difficult to get what you want if you're not doing the work to say it's already here, it's coming, it's on its way. Because then you're doing things in the opposite, or you might not be doing anything at all. So, do I need to explain that anymore?
Well, no, I think it's just when you know that you have a specific vision in mind, then to assume that it is on its way, whether it's cats or good health or whatever it is, stability, world peace. To live and operate and act and take action, assuming that it's already done. Because some people think that on some level, all of these things are already done. It's just a matter of singing them into our immediate life.
Yeah, I mean, I've read a couple of Dr. Joe Dispenza's books, and what he talks about a lot is that there are, the realm of possibilities, and that is where I think the imaginative part of um, human beings come into place.
Yes, the quantum field,
Yes.
where everything possible has happened
Yeah.
and is happening. Good, bad, indifferent, without a value. It just is that realm of possibilities.
Right. So, yeah, I think that's a good point to make about it. It's not necessarily good or bad. It's just these are the possibilities,
And they're infinite.
and it's what you choose to do with what you are presented that makes the largest difference, and that then sets your journey on whatever path you're going to go on. It's not really, to me, it's not really, oh, I've got this. It's like, well, what are you going to do with this now? You know, and that's, so I'm kind of maybe going off into a little bit of a tangent, but we know that I do this. But I think that's why when you have something, when you have a situation, when you're presented with a situation, complaining about the situation is not helpful. That doesn't get you what you want. It just gets you more of maybe what you don't want. So what you really want to do is think about and zero in and focus in on what are my other possibilities. I'm only seeing maybe one possibility, which is how I've judged it as not being so great. How can I turn that situation that I think is not so good? How can I see the other possibilities in that situation?
And that's where sometimes imagination is, often imagination is called upon in that. Because when you're in it, especially when it's something that you've deemed not happy or not pleasant or not good, when you're in it, it's hard to remember, but that's the most important time to remember the imagination and the that there's infinite possibilities.
So I'll just draw another thread to that and talking about the law of attraction. So what you focus on, you get more of. So if you're focusing on the negative aspects of whatever situation you've been presented with, that is what you'll probably wind up seeing and getting more of. So the better thing to do is to look at and to think about what are some things that could be positive, or how can you sprinkle some positivity onto that to kind of counterbalance what certainly could be not great. It's about what you're doing in a particular situation. So I think that assumption is pretty, it's interesting, because I remember, and several of the hotels that I was working at, it was used a lot, and it's just kind of like how you talk to people. It's used in sales like all the time. It's kind of like, okay, how can I'm going to sign you up for this. What's your email address?
Well,
it's just very
like when
things.
You think about assumption, it is. I think the definition of it is believing that something is true before it has happened, or without any actual proof, one way or another.
Yes.
The other term that I hear people when I think about assumption is assuming the position of something, assuming the title of queen, assuming so like taking on a responsibility, taking on a project. I'm assuming the position of manager. Or, that's kind of a little bit different. I don't know what the tie in there, but it's the same root word.
Mm-hmm.
Assumption, but a different usage.
Yeah. So it's just one of these, or a couple of these thoughts that came to me. I mean, it was a while ago, I'll admit. but I thought it would be fun for us to talk about and for our listeners to kind of ponder. So,
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything else to say on that. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think I added what I wanted to, and I think it is a good nugget, a helpful nugget to ponder for all of us, and to get into that habit and just recall, I do have imagination to draw on, and what harm could it possibly do to assume the best in any situation, or assume that good health has already arrived, or that stability, that the kittens are already here.
Yeah, the location is the next frontier, and that is like, okay, it's here. Then I just have to find.
Yeah, I just need to bring it into my home.
And then I would say to that maybe then we talk about aligning the vibration to match whatever you're trying to sing into your being and into your realm. So I think with that, we will wrap up this podcast.
Yes.
And we will see you in September.
Have a splendid day.
For the next one. Bye.
Bye.